Shalom, family. Most High in Christ bless. I'm Sister Chana from the House of Officer Rosh, Atlanta Camp, and I'm here today showing you one way you can make a profit-worthy cold Sabbath plate. Now, I want you to always consider what tastes good cold. That's one factor that helps me choose my menu. Second factor, what do I like? Also, I think about what's in season, what's complementary to one another, and am I going to enjoy eating it myself? These are the things that I consider as I am building a menu concept for our leadership. So today, I happen to be preparing cold Sabbath plates, and I thought I should show you how I do it. As you can see, I have already did some prep. I have rinsed, drained, and dried my fresh fruit, head of the pineapple off and rinsed it. I've also rinsed the other produce that I plan to use. I've washed my containers to store the meal in. And here's another thing that's very important. Always consider the final presentation. Plan and think about who's handling it. Will the food look just as nice once it reaches them? So you want to consider, how can I contain it to make sure that the quality is still great and that it's still presented beautifully once they received it. I am going to prepare some salmon. I have cleaned it as well as placed it on ice. This will ensure that it will stay in a safe temperature as I am working with it. I just wanted to show you, and I'm going to put this in the fridge until I'm ready to work with it. But I've already cleaned it in lemon juice and water. Had it dry and then season it to marinate for at least 30 minutes. Also, in this meal, I'll be making prophet eggs. Yes, prophet eggs, not deviled eggs. So I've already boiled my eggs and I have them chilling in ice water so that I could work with them. Okay, so now that we have the setup going, I'll meet you on the flip side so that you can see the process of putting these things together. All right.
No more pain. It's our land, New Jerusalem. The holy city is waiting for me.
One time for the ones with favor, all live from the top to the haters. Let's go.
Living in the kingdom.
Let's get ready to crisp our turkey bacon. My next step is always to begin with the items that need to be cooked. This way you do not run into a problem of running out of daylight going into the Sabbath. Remember, we cannot cook on the Lord's Sabbath day. It should not be burnt. It should not be extremely limp. It should be crisp. This way it will be pleasant to eat when it's cold. Anyway, it's a matter of preference, but I choose to do it this way, and so far there have been no complaints. So the key to making nice crispy bacon is that you have to have a little fat in your pan. I'm going to do a little canola oil so that the olive oil doesn't smoke out, and then a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. I always prefer to cook with extra virgin olive oil because it's reasonably priced and it's very healthy for you. So that's what I prefer to cook with. Of course, you can do what works for you. Another thing to help avoid splatters and burns is if the turkey bacon is really damp, pat it dry. Remember, oil and water don't mix. If it's popping too much, turn the temperature down until some of the water evaporates off of the turkey bacon. Change your gloves between tasks and be sure to wash your hands in between things as well, especially if you handle raw meat, raw eggs, or anything of that nature, or raw fish, of course. Now, as you can see, a little sizzle is starting to form. around the edges of the turkey bacon, those are signs that it's close to being done. It's browning. Allow it to drain on a paper towel lined plate to get the excess oil off. Turkey bacon complete. We'll allow this to drain and cool. Remember, never assemble hot food as something that's intended to be served cold. Keep cold foods cold and hot foods hot at all times to keep your food safe. So we'll allow this to cool and then refrigerate it until we're ready to build our plates. By the way, you could completely use the same skillet to brown your fish in if you're doing a seasoning blend that has that smoky essence, because it could get the flavor of the turkey bacon. But in this case, I'm not going to do that. All right, our fish has been marinating for 20 to 30 minutes now, so I'm going to begin cooking it. I'm going to use a non-stick skillet to help prevent tears and breaks in the fish. I'm also going to use a fish spatula. These are excellent for dealing with fish. As you can see, they're flexible and it will wiggle underneath your fish and you'll have less risk of breaking it. So we're going to preheat our skillet, maybe on medium. I left the skin on this fish to help protect the flesh from being overcooked. One thing I do love is crispy skin fish. However, I would not want to eat that cold. So I'm just using the skin as a barrier of protection on the fish to help it to stay moist. Remember, this is for next day and it's going to be served cold. So you definitely don't want to overcook your salmon. By the way, fish should be cooked internally to a temperature of 145 degrees Fahrenheit. However, I do like to pull it off the heat at about 140 because it's going to carry over another 5 degrees. That way, that'll ensure that my fish is not overcooked and it's nice and moist. We'll add butter to the pan once it's further along. It has milk solids in it and I don't want it to start burning right away. Most of my cooking on the skin side to help protect the flesh from overcooking. I don't want to add butter just yet. And I am going to add a good quality butter to baste the fish with when it's near completion. This is so easy. I've marinated in a simple seasoning. Today I've used honey sriracha, a little bit of onion powder, a pinch of cinnamon, and some of this 5 pepper 5 salt blend. I did not add any additional salt. I'm going to finish it with some cracked black pepper. The honey sriracha spice has a little kick to it, so I don't want to make it overwhelming. So I'll finish it with that. My hand is touching the fish. It's not doing anything else. I don't know if you noticed that when I was seasoning it, I used one hand to deal with the fish and one hand to use the seasoning. You need to always be mindful that you're not cross-contaminating because you could move bacteria from one place, one food to another and potentially make someone sick. So always keep cleanliness and food safety in mind. Start my napkin. I'm going to have my dirty gloves washed up. I'll be back. Okay, coming back to you with clean hands, by the way. Another tip, tie it as you go. Load the dishwasher in between doing different tasks and things of that nature so that you're not left with this humongous mess when you're done. Use Clorox wipes to wipe down and be mindful that you're not cross-contaminating, and you'll be thankful that you did this at the end. It will be far less mess to clean up. So, salmon is one of those easier fish to cook because the color changes. Right now it's pink and translucent looking. As it cooks, it will kind of become like an opaquish, light orange color. If you notice around the edge, it's becoming lighter and not so clear. So that's the process that will take place with the salmon as it begins to cook. The colors will change. So we're just going to cook it on medium-low for maybe about 4 minutes on each side. It varies. It just really depends on your stove, whether you have gas or electric, you know, how high your temperature was. So the best thing to go by is the temperature of the meat, or the fish rather. I have a digital food thermometer. It tells you Fahrenheit or Celsius. So it will be able to tell me what internal temperature the meat is. And when you put it in, you insert it at the fattest part, straight through in the middle, stopping at the middle point, being sure not to hit the bottom of the pan. You want to be able to read the meat so you get an accurate reading. I have some nice quality butter here. I'm going to start adding butter to the pan and basting the top of the fish as the bottom is cooking. Now we're ready to flip the fish. It's been cooking about 4 minutes on the bottom side. Since my spice mix is a honey sriracha blend, once I have nearly cooked this fish, I'm going to give it a quick glaze in honey to amplify the sweetness, and then I'll finish it with some cracked black pepper and some Himalayan roasted garlic salt. If you were serving this like fresh, serve it inside up. That way it stays crispy. Let's take a peek on the other side. Our fish has been cooking about 2 minutes on the top side. So let's carefully flip it and see what we're looking at. Oh, this one looks nice. This one could go a little longer on that side. These two are ready to be glazed. A little honey. Reinforce what we're doing here. I'm going to gauge the temperature, see where we are. I am nowhere near there. I'm about 88. So I'm going to brown the top really quickly and then flip it back to let it slowly finish on the skin side. Let's check the temps one more time. I've washed my thermometer. Okay, I'm at 103. The honey is smoking out. I'm going to finish it in a clean pan. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to transfer our fish over to finish cooking. I added the honey too soon and it began to caramelize in the pan before my fish was completely done. So we'll just let it gently finish cooking on the skin side down. Remember that skin is your cushion. Shouldn't take more than a minute or two now. All done. We'll let it rest and cool. Now, all of our proteins are cooling and they're now in the fridge. Now, the key to doing all of this, as I said before, is to get those hot things completed before sundown Friday if you're doing this for the Sabbath brunch. So now that those things have been done, I can focus my attention on prep. I will create my cold components that will go on my final tray. Now, something I'd like to share with you is to keep in mind to be flexible. Things are always changing when it comes to the profits. Modify where you need to. You may have to just pause and take a step back and think about, how can I make this work? Do this however you choose. Just make sure you have a protein, make sure you have a fresh fruit, make sure you have some sort of a salad, or if it was breakfast, make sure you have some sort of a complementary item to the fruit and the protein, whether that be a boiled egg, well, that's protein too, or like an overnight parfait, or a yogurt parfait or a roll or a muffin or a pastry or a piece of unleavened bread, whatever the case may be. Think about it as a full concept to be a full meal. And it should be a sizable portion. Remember, you're feeding men. Make it a man plate. All right.
They don't make them out of used to. Old school riding in the new school. New school riding in the old school, but I'm playing with it. They don't make us how they used to. Old school blind to the new school. New school rocking with the wheel, look out. Seat back, chucking deuce. No, we don't get down how they used to, Why they gotta get in my, why they gotta get in my lane, Straight is the way to the gate, straight is the way to the gate, MIA. Why they gotta get in my, why they gotta get in my lane, Straight is the way to the gate, straight is the way to the gate, MIA.
I'm gone, can't stick around for too long. I'm moving on. I've been missing in action. Trying my best to remake blame. Angels fleeing from sin. I've been missing in action.
Way up to the fine in the gardens. You shouldn't do that. There's a tree in the midst, 2/3 looking at it like, what we about to eat at? Serpent on the branch, I don't see that. They're like, nah, where you see that? They're like, hey, you should join us. Everybody about to be there. Many called, only few chosen. I can stick around, gotta get going. I got other plans, but this ain't one of them. Gotta stay rooted, there's a storm coming in. Gate with my name, don't know which one it is. If you ain't sealed, then you ain't going in. Hard to make friends when they don't understand. Show them to the light, but they don't clear the edge. Why they gotta get in my, why they gotta get in my lane, Straight is the way to the gate, straight is the way to the gate, MIA. Why they gotta get in my, why they gotta get in my lane, Straight is the way to the gate, straight is the way to the gate, MIA.
I'm gone, can't stick around for too long. I'm moving on. I've been missing in action. Trying my best to remake blame. Angels fleeing from sin. I've been missing in action. I'm gone, can't stick around for too long. I'm moving on. I've been missing in action. Trying my best to remake blame. Angels fleeing from sin. I've been missing in action. Honesty, loving and faithful, humble and kind. These are the qualities let us possess when they see us coming through the streets. God has a Sarah glowing with our modesty. Friend just head wraps gleaming in our majesty. Glorifying the King of Kings. modesty glow. Let your 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 modesty glow. Put on your tinkling ornaments, and when they see us, they gon' stop instead. See how the shoot with me and beauty hit. Where the Israelites were always winning. We're always winning. And we're always winning. We're always winning. And we're always winning. Honesty, loving and faithful, humble and kind. These are the qualities let us possess. We're beautiful and holy. We're royal and we're worthy. Loyal to the Most High. Stand strong by our Lord's side. We're raising kings, God is so meek. Keeping the family. We're set apart, cause with the salt, we set the world on fire. Let your modesty glow. 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 Honesty, loving and faithful, humble and kind. These are the qualities let us possess. When they see us coming through the streets, God has a Sarah glowing with our modesty. Fringes, head wraps gleaming in our majesty. Glorifying the King of Kings. Honesty, loving and faithful, humble and kind. These are the qualities.
There you have it, a prophet-ready Sabbath brunch or lunch ready to go. Shalom and Most High in Christ bless. Happy Sabbath, family. I hope this was helpful to you. Remember, practice good sanitation and hygiene habits while you're doing these things. Make sure that your food is safe, as well as beautiful, delicious, and nutritious. So remember to stay tuned to the Daughters of Sarah website, as well as the Daughters of Sarah Instagram page. They have lots of helpful information, cooking tips, recipes, along with the other wonderful things that the Daughters of Sarah has to offer. You can also find me on YouTube. My channel is called Love in the Pot. If you would like other cooking tips, you can check me out there. Remember, don't be locked in a box. Try things out, but make sure you first test it on yourself before you test it on our leadership. I hope you enjoyed, and Lord's will, you have an amazing Sabbath. Shalom, and Most High in Christ bless.
But first behold in your